if it's not Scottie, it's Wyndham.
Well,
And so if you
say
get kind of this back and forth where you're like, hey, all right, maybe you're a
maybe.
Scottie guy, maybe you're a Wyndham guy, or maybe you hate them both and you hope somebody else sneaks in there. But either way, at least it's reason to watch, I think.
What is up, everybody? How you living? No Putts Given. Tony and Chris, we're back. Golf Spy T, Golf Spy C. Tony, is that a new Puma hat?
It's a very old Puma hat.
Like circa...
I couldn't tell you.
2015.
Like you can go back to like this one's been on No Putts Given over the years several times. I was like, yeah, let's just ran into the closet, pulled one out of a box because I'm getting to be at that need a haircut. Plus as you know, the lights shine off my bald ass head. So do what we can.
We do what we can. We do what we can. Well, today we're talking dress code. We're talking the players. Tony, look, I wasn't there. My daughter was there.
I was to say, my daughter wears shirts and sweatshirts from places she's never been and things she's never done all the time.
No, this is the opposite.
That is the fashion now.
She was there. I'll tell you about that in a minute. We'll talk the players. Little tour of HQ. We have some things going on in the land of the Yorktown, Virginia, and then a smattering of other golfing news. Tigers in the Bahamas playing golf with... ... So, my word. Not a ton of new equipment stuff, but still plenty to talk about. So let's start with the players. The fifth major, Tony. It's not the fifth major.
I mean, it kind of delivered like one, right?
It did. I mean, the leaderboard, yeah, I mean, the finish was unbelievable. Sunday was great. I watched, as much as I could on the other 3 days. Max Homa almost killed a guy. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, the story has to be Scheffler, doesn't it? Is that that's got to be the number one story.
I mean, yeah, two tournaments in a row, back-to-back Players Championships, never done before. So, I mean, it's just guy's on an absolute heater. We said last week, right? If he actually has figured out the putting, he's gonna be a problem for everybody else, and maybe he has.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, everybody says his ball striking is phenomenal, and it is. Even players that play, to me, that's one of the, I guess, the subjective metrics that I really like to listen to is when other players stop and go, man, it's like the guy's on autopilot. Or, back in the day when Henrik Stenson would, working on irons on the driving range and stuff, and people would stop and go, it's just a different sound, right? When your peers are saying that you're a step ahead of everybody else, that's a little bit scary. So if this is the case, here's my question for you, though. So I don't care what tour you watch. I don't care how often you watch golf or how little. It's clear who the number one player in the world is right now. By any metric, by anything, it's Scottie Scheffler. So is this good for golf? Do we need a Scottie Scheffler figure headed into major season stuff where you have a clear run? He is a dominant number one. I'm just going to say that. He is the number one player in the world. Is that good for golf right now, do you think?
I think so. It's hard to say for sure because over the course of the time I've been watching golf, which certainly doesn't, and barely watching, as the case may be, but in those years, call me a child, if you will, of the Tiger Woods era, where there was an unquestionable number one dominant player that whether you liked Tiger or didn't, kind of tune in to watch just to see what he would do. And I don't think anybody is ready to say that Scottie Scheffler brings that Tiger excitement factor. But certainly I think it helps to have one guy versus, okay, maybe this week it's going to be one of 8 guys that we kind of sort of loosely watch. So I think better. I mean, kind of. We said, right, if he would just be an average putter, he'd be dangerous, and that's kind of what he did at the Players. So yeah, it seems like maybe, just maybe, he could be the guy, and better yet, if we see in small sample size, right? But it's sort of, you've been watching the tour lately. It's if it's not Scottie, it's Wyndham.
Well,
And
that
so
I was
if
going
you
to say
get kind of this back and forth where you're like, hey, all right, maybe you're a Scottie guy, maybe you're a Wyndham guy, or maybe you hate them both and you hope somebody else sneaks in there. But either way, at least it's reason to watch, I think.
Yeah,
more than there has been.
I think it's great. I love it because I think when you have a dominant number one, it just sets a different dynamic and tone for the tournament because it's like, hey, can somebody challenge this person? We all know going in, I mean, odds-on favorite, unless something bizarre happens, Scheffler's going to be odds-on favorite at the Masters. You could convince me that there's a reason to discuss a Grand Slam. He could win all 4 of them this year, and the reason I say that is, yeah, your putter has to get hot if you can find consistency there, but like tee to green is kind of like defense. Defense travels. Defense does well in the playoffs. Defense keeps you in the game. It gives you an opportunity to win, and that is his absolute strength. I don't see that going away. So I love it. I like it because then people kind of have to choose a little bit. Hey, Scheffler or not. If there's a dominant, you got to have an opinion on them one way or the other. So I like it. I think it's great. Yeah, we're going to get to see, again, you got Rahm, DJ, Cam Smith, Joaquin Neiman, the world's greatest complainer.
It's to me wild. Like, you kind of have to take the live guys out of the conversation a little bit right now.
Sure.
But how quickly it feels like, and I know if you can look back and go, like, this was a slow grind to get here, but just it feels like all of a sudden, right? It's the PGA Tour, it's Scottie's tour, it's Wyndham Tour. We're not talking as much about Rory, at least on the course, right? Getting a lot of headlines for conversations around live and the tour and things like that, but on course, not as much. Justin Thomas, not as much, certainly lately. It has been sort of this changing of the guard.
Yeah. And
it just seems very noticeable. Maybe go back to the U.S. Open where Wyndham Clark was like, hi guys, but yeah, it's different tour.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better or worse, but it's
I
think there has to be something that helps move past Tiger. I know he's still playing, but I think we all agree the best days are behind us. The chances of another major are remote, and so it's,
this may make me more unpopular than I already am, but Tiger, last 6 events he's played in, whatever, 3 WDs, hasn't finished, hasn't really seriously been a part of the leaderboard in any type of meaningful fashion. I don't see Tiger factoring into the leaderboard in any tournament he plays this year. And it's not because...
Fighting words, man. Fighting words.
I know,
now
it's not because he's not talented. He says, hey, I can hit the shots. I can still hit golf balls. I can do all those things. Well, the one thing he's not doing is playing competitively, and he says that in every press conference. Hey, you got to knock some of the rust off. Hey, get more reps. Work on this. Competitive golf is different. It is different, and even for somebody who is, in my opinion, the greatest golfer of all time. I didn't grow up during Jack's era, however, he doesn't get those reps consistently, and so he's always going to be coming off a 4, 5, 6 week break or whatever the case is. So that's when you see the Wyndham Clarks, the Scottie Schefflers, Rory, when he gets back in form, and there's a handful of other guys in every big tournament major. You got to beat all those guys.
Yeah, and it's tough. Happening. I mean, a 4-day hike through Augusta National
it ain't happening.
That's a tough ask.
Ain't happening. How scared were you when you saw that video of Max Homa almost...
Oh! I mean, it's a miracle that it hasn't happened and you haven't seen. I mean, I know guys get bonked from time to time with wayward drives,
right.
but
we're talking like, golfers going to hit a shot, And you got people that, want to be they're so desperate they want to see everything that possibly, so they're lined like this corridor.
Somebody will get killed. It seems like an inevitability at this point. So
let me ask you. So let's
if
say
not for dumb luck, honestly.
Yeah, let's say it didn't hit that tree. Let's say it did hit a person and seriously injure them.
Seriously kill them.
I'm not trying to make light of people getting injured by hitting. I actually had a friend who got hit, total random freak accident at the driving range. Got hit in the eye, blind, rest of their life. It can happen. Whose fault is it? That happens. It's going to happen.
It's the fault of the tournament organizers, I think. And look, I'm not trying to remove any part of the blame for what amounts to, quite frankly, a little bit of stupidity on the part of the spectators. I mean, as we've discussed, as people yell at me from time to time in the comments, I don't watch a ton of golf. I've seen a lot of shanks in my day. Right, and I've certainly with social media,
I've produced several of them.
Yeah, that's not even counting the ones I've done myself.
Right.
I saw the video, and we see this every time where you have one of those shots where who's ever in charge of safety, right? Who's ever deciding where those crowds get to stand is allowing an exceptionally narrow corridor, and so it doesn't take much for something. I mean, comes out a little low, a little right, something like that, or
somebody spooks them in their backswing. They hit
my God.
There are so many little things that can go wrong. Because most of the time when this is happening, a lot of times they're hitting a recovery shot or something. We're not talking about on the tee in the middle of the fairway because the gallery wouldn't be there.
Oh, and that's interesting, right? We're like, okay, look, if the ball's in the fairway, you stand where you always stand. If the ball is where you always stand, just continue to stand there, safety be damned. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like let's kind of keep some sensible distance from the action instead of like, this guy's really good. I trust that Max Homa is going to be able to hit this ball somewhere in the space that's the width of a bowling lane, and everything is going to be fine. And thankfully with these guys more often than not it is. But man, I wouldn't bet on it. And it only takes once, right? And then it's conversation, and there are lawsuits, and it's just one of those things to the point where I almost wonder if there's a mindset, there's going to be some pros that are be like, I am not hitting this shot until everybody clears the hell out of the way, because this is ridiculous.
Because I don't want it coming back on me, because I'm the person hitting the shot, so I could see where if that happens, do tour players have personal liability insurance? Who knows? Just saw that, and that was scary. But something that makes me happy, Tony, we're going to go to our good friends back at HQ for just a minute. I think Bennett's going to give us a little bit of a tour around our new facility. Things are coming
exciting. Love it.
This is awesome. I'm excited to see it. So, Bennett, take it away. Show us what's going on.
Thanks, Chris and Tony. I wanted to give you guys a backstage pass into our brand new facility. So, what you see behind me, that is all ours. We are renting out that 4th unit, but it is a huge, huge comparison into what we've got now. So the 316 that we're in now is really just one of these. So, you got your 2 standard hitting bays in the back, couple offices, couple couches, but now that's a completely different story. So come on inside. This is it. It's massive. We are so excited. We've got the framing up from Indoor Golf Shop. So what this is going to be is these garage doors are actually going to be behind some drywall, but we're going to have 4 bays all the way down here. This will be nice and open so that netting you can see all the way through into the offices. Right in here, this is the fun part for us. We're going to have a big team office in here. It's a little dark in here. So 2 big conference tables, and then right behind me you see these 4 enclosures. Those are all going to be booths. So kind of a collaborative working space. 2 of them are going to be soundproof, so if we need to take calls or meetings, we can still feel like we're a part of the office, but definitely have that privacy if we need it. Ooh, and then this is essential. 4th hitting bay over here. And then this is our massive storage unit. So as far as testing goes, that obviously comes with a lot of products. So we need to have ample storage. We've already got a couple storage units off-site, but this allows us to have everything in here. So poor John Howard, it's going to be an organized mess and chaos in there, but that's his world and we're just living in it. So over here, Connor's gonna love this, where these guys are doing their lighting work. This is gonna be Connor's area. So all of the soft good testing is gonna go on over here. We're gonna have a nice cool bar top over here so we can at least have our lunches, kind of congregate. It's our water cooler, if you will, and kind of see what Connor does over here in his space. So all of that, you know, shoes, bags, gloves, those will all be kind of stored up here so he can just have his area and be nice and organized. Now this is the coolest part. You guys are gonna love this. So PuttView is coming all the way from Germany. They're going to install a full custom putting green that's going to allow us to really give you guys the best data for all of our putter testing, and better yet, even do more labs. So for putters, things like kind of understanding stroke type, and really getting you guys that information that you need and are looking for that we weren't able to do in our previous facility without the overhead topography and other amazing features that PuttView has. But that's it. We're super excited. We're not too sure about a timeline yet, but it should be wrapping up within the next month. All right, guys, I'm gonna head back over to our office that's actually functional right now, but I'm gonna toss it back to you guys. Peace out.
That's a lot of drywall. I see things coming together where the putting green is going. Yeah,
Not all the way there yet, but
it's coming together.
oh, that's gonna be so cool to have it's gonna be a big PuttView putting green in there as
It's
well
getting
as
real.
double. Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's getting real. All right, Tony, last week published an article about the state of dress, like dress code stuff in the golf industry. I'm just going to start with this question right away. Does golf have a dress code problem?
You know, I'm so on the fence with this. I think
That's weird.
professional golf, the PGA Tour, I think it's absolutely absurd that players can't wear shorts in 100-degree heat. Like I think I've mentioned before, right now with like professional soccer, they will stop a game and take a hydration break. But these guys are out in, you know, steam and heat and humidity in long pants for no other reason other than appearances. So I think that's ridiculous. Going to the other extreme where, you know, the country club at Brookline should allow people to play in mesh shorts and a t-shirt. I struggle with that kind of extreme as well. So I'm a little bit in the middle. I don't know what it's like where you play at TPC Colorado. At McGregor, we have on paper, right? The dress code is collared shirts tucked in. The tucked in is never enforced. The collared shirt is sometimes enforced, from what I can tell. It's almost like who happens to be in the shop that day, or you know which members happen to see it and decide whether or not they have a problem with it. But
Yeah, my biggest issue with dress code stuff is I did a little research. So let's say there's 40,000 courses across the world, and let's say that 16,000 plus or minus of those are in the U.S., of which 75% or so are public or daily fee, etc. The other quarter are private. If you're a private club, you make whatever rules you want to. Now, I can argue whether I personally think those rules are ridiculous or not. Like, I don't know, changing your shoes in the parking lot.
yeah, that's the one where I'm like, this is just stupid. Like,
So
just,
if
why? Like, why? Why?
Right. It's the dress code rules that I go, there's...
If somebody has any idea on that, by the way, like, just from there's a very good reason why you can't change your shoes in the parking lot. If anybody has any insight into that, please leave a comment, because I do not get it. I just, you know, you worried about ugly socks? Whatever. I don't. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, it's that. And like, okay, where you can just kind of point out the hypocritical nature maybe of some of the rules. And it's like, okay, help me understand, like, again, what's the purpose? What are we trying to do? So just take the shoe one for, okay, let's say you had a club, they say, no, you cannot change your shoes in the parking lot. Okay, what if I just go back in my car where nobody's watching me and I just change shoes in my seat?
You're still technically
okay?
in the parking lot. I believe in this case you need to stop your car immediately outside the gate, change your shoes there, and then get back in your car. Yeah, no, like,
and then drive in. That
right?
works. The other one that kind of gets me a little bit is what constitutes appropriate golf attire. And it's like anytime you're going to draw a line on something, let's say it's clearly defined, like you said, like a collared shirt or something like that. So I go inside the pro shop and they're selling these fantastic hoodies. Love them. They look awesome.
Buy the hoodie, don't wear the hoodie here.
Can I buy the hoodie and go right out and start hitting balls in the practice facility? Or is it buy the apparel and go wear it somewhere else? Or so like that's one of the things. It's like when they sell
buy the hoodie, go wear that at the Muni. Show them where you've been, not where you are.
Right. So like when you sell something in a pro shop that directly violates your own dress code, I call BS on that one.
I would argue against that a little bit, if only for like I'm happy to see more courses selling T-shirts. Like if I'm laying around my house going for a walk downtown, whatever it happens to be, I don't want to put on a polo from PGA Frisco, for example. But if I got a T-shirt, I'm comfortable like that. That's how I live most of my life. So I'm all good being comfortable when I'm not just on my own time, but kind of out in public. I would, the argument I would make is municipal courses where sort of the same ownership or operational structure as a public park.
Right.
And so, like, if you're telling me, like, in this public park, you can whatever you want, but in this public space that your tax dollars are somehow paying for in a lot of cases, you have to conform to this dress code. I would argue maybe at the municipal level it should be a little freer. And that, again, you talk to people who grew up playing municipal golf when they were kids, like that was the opportunity, right? Like that was where they could get on a golf course, play the game, learn the etiquette of the game beyond, who cares what you're wearing if you're doing the rest of it right, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I just think to an extent dress codes can limit opportunities. But I also don't see them as purely evil in every case.
Well, and it's interesting, like you have this this kind of push-pull relationship between maybe what's good for the masses or looking at a big picture. And like at an individual level, I don't care. If I go play golf at my home course where there is a dress code, whatever, and somebody showed it and they let them play, say, hey, they're wearing whatever. Personally,
I'm not going to be the guy that rats them out.
I don't care. I don't care if you're wearing your hat backwards. I don't care if you're playing in a T-shirt and joggers. I don't care. Whatever. As long as it doesn't, that's the
play fast, respect the course.
Yeah. Like I said, at PXG Scottsdale National, right? Like it's have fun and don't let your fun impinge on the fun of others. So, okay.
Yeah. If your fun is ruined by somebody wearing a T-shirt or not wearing pants you like, I don't know. Go look at a picture of a puppy. Do something to feel better. That's just,
right. Well, ridiculous. And that's one it's interesting too. Like, I almost feel like there's this hierarchy. You mentioned municipal golf courses, so we're talking city-owned courses, whatever. Treat the same way you would the park where you take your kids to play, or open space, or whatever. I don't care. I think that should be whatever goes. And then it's almost like you have this contingency of like courses that take themselves seriously, maybe some that take themselves a little too seriously, and then like these uber elite courses, you often see stuff like, wear whatever you want, we don't care. So
it is like, right, there is
like you go from blue collar, middle class, upper middle class.
Almost like in a lot of cases, the guys at the high end of the middle are trying to prove something, right?
Mm-hmm. Millionaire, I'm a million. I got to show you my stuff. Billionaires, do whatever the F you want. Like we don't care. We're not trying. So I don't know. It's just kind of. I guess it's kind of interesting. I personally don't care. I get it. Private institutions can do whatever they want. If you don't like a course because of its dress code, don't go play there. That's totally your call as well. There's plenty of other courses, but I do think, like you said, mentioned Brookline. That's a great one. We had a chance to play that a couple of years ago. If they have a dress code and I want to play Brookline, I'm going to adhere to their dress code. I am happy to do that, to have an opportunity, no matter what I think about the dress code, and I'm fine with it. I'm going to do whatever they want me to do to go play that course. I'm fine.
And I mean, we didn't go through the rules in complete detail there, but I didn't feel stuffy. Like the only thing that may impact some people was like, hey, if you're going to use your cell phone, go to this designated area. Again,
Right.
And that's more along the lines of respect other people on the course and don't scream into your phone for 18 holes, right? Which can sometimes happen. That's a little bit different, but again, so I'm good with anything that's just play fast. Don't hold me up too much. Respect the course and have a good time. Everything else is incidental nonsense, I think.
Exactly. No, it's an interesting one, and I'm not going to pretend that golf stuff's cheap. I mean, everything feels like other stuff is getting expensive, so there are deals.
It can be like, because we see polos, right? It's not uncommon for a new polo to come out and it's $110. Or I mean, we've seen golf pants $160 plus for regular golf stuff. We talk about the shoe stuff, which you and I love. $400 rain pants. I think worth it, but you can't expect everybody's gonna pay for it or wants to, can, whatever you want to, however you want to describe it. But at the same time, I get emails all the time, constantly stuff on sale. I see weekly Adidas and Puma shorts for $25 to $35 because they're last year's colors. And you know what? Most times,
instead of elderberry or whatever.
Right. Last year's color is a hell of a lot like this year's color. Nobody's going to know the difference, and even if they do, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, look at that poor ass bastard wearing." That elderberry. Elderberry is a 2022 color. You think he can, sneak his poor ass by me? No way, sir.
So outdated.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like the Walter Hagen stuff at Dick's. It's not a brand that rolls off the tongue. It certainly does not have the kind of the same. It's not a Holderness and Bourne, if you will, but at the same time, it's not terrible stuff. And less. I mean, I'm seeing some stuff on sale for like $16, and we're seeing these upstart brands come along as they are in the club space. These, call them DTC apparel brands. Ultimately, I think almost every apparel brand by some measure is a DTC brand.
Sure.
But you have these guys that are doing the same thing as like a sub 70 or Tacoma is doing on the club side. We're like, hey, cool. You guys want to be way up here?
Right.
We'll just go down here and offer something that's pretty decent and affordable. And so, when you look at those options, I struggle with the argument of, well, it's just too expensive to buy golf clothes because I'm looking, and again, right, lots of things, lots of price points, but kind of the t-shirts that I look at, if I can find a t-shirt for $30, it's kind of a bargain these days. And so, all things equal, it's not a stretch to say, go out and spend $55 on the apparel, or I guess you need belt. You can play in tennis shoes. Nobody's gonna come after you for that.
I'm gonna assume you already got a belt.
Just don't. As long as you don't change them in the parking lot, you'll be fine.
Unless your name is Dan Owen and you're from the UK, I'm gonna assume you already have a belt ready to go. Hey, and if you're not sure where to find all these deals, hit up Connor. Find him.
Call him. Show up at his house, knock on his door.
Yes, he will take you shopping. He would love to.
He'll take you to Ross like a boss.
To Ross. All right, couple other things going on in the golf world. By the time this airs on Wednesday, it'll have been a couple days ago, and we'll have maybe more information. But some big confab going on that was kind of rumored over the weekend with, obviously the players. It's the home of the PGA Tour. Get kind of a State of the Union address, if you will, from Jay Monahan. But you have all the key players for the PGA Tour there. And it looks like there's a little thing going on in Nassau in the Bahamas with we're talking PIF money. Again, we're talking Saudi investment. We're talking a meeting between this new Players Council Advisory Board, people like Tiger, right? People like Peter Malnati, people that are on the board, Jordan Spieth, etc. Meeting with the Saudi contingent face to face. To do what, Tony? What do you think they're talking about?
I mean, right, or we're going to merge, or we not going to merge, or we still playing this game. We already missed the deadline, or pushed the deadline, or whatever they did. I don't know. I feel like with the new investment that the PGA Tour got, like, is there any point in trying to secure additional investment with the Saudis? I guess. I mean, I think the whole plan, right, is just to make everybody rich, screw the fans, and that's fine. Seems to be where they're headed, but I'm not sold anything's going to come of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think my sense is that this is the pitch, if you will. So I mean, so we're talking about the PIF boss Yasser, who has the keys to the bank, to the vault, and I think this is his opportunity to say, here's what our vision is, here's what we want, and here's what we need to get this across the finish line, and this is what we're gonna. So I think they're gonna talk stuff like, hey, players coming back to or having access to PGA Tour events, what they want on their side. Some have said, I think I'm okay in saying this, or I think Rory said something. They can come back with basically without any or very, very minimal penalty. You've had other players go, hell no. You left, you're gone. Scottie Scheffler said it last year, like, hey, if you're frustrated about the division in golf, look at the people that left. They're the ones that divided. So focus your anger there.
It's just like you could see, and I don't know who ultimately makes that decision, right? If it's a vote or it's just Jay doing Jay things, but I have a hard time with everybody or a top 10 in the live rankings, however you determine those, right? I'm sure they can come up with their own system or just do whatever the hell they want, but and that's tough to allow anybody to come back without penalty, given that such a firm line was drawn in the sand. So to go back and go, hey, never mind, that is kind of an FU to the guys who stayed, and there hasn't been any indication that's a problem for Jay Monahan, but it's just one of those things where if I stuck around, which again, admittedly a choice, but a choice made based on being told that leaving had consequences. And if you come back and say, oh yeah, the consequences, you should have gone because there were no consequences, that's a different conversation. And I'd be pissed about it, just as I wouldn't expect, or I think it's ridiculous that live guys are whining about world rankings because they had no guarantees they would get them, other than
now
if you trusted Greg Norman, you
that's on you.
Deserve everything you got and less. And so I don't know. I'm still in the camp of probably nothing comes of it, although it is a curiosity of, like, if it does, how do you manage two tours? Because again, I continue to say that I've seen no evidence to suggest that there is enough fan interest to support two professional golf tours in terms of tuning in. And live works because they don't care if anybody watches. They don't need anybody to watch right now. Right. But if you get to the point where everything depends on viewership and ratings and sponsorships that come with that, there's just not enough interest in the world for two tours at that level.
Yeah, my last thought on this is, anytime that there's two sides coming together to try to discuss or get an agreement made, you have to think about leverage and who has more leverage in a certain situation. I don't care if you're negotiating a car deal with the dealership or, your extension on your SiriusXM subscription, right? Somebody has more leverage than somebody else, and it's how they use that leverage then. In this case, I'm not so sure that the PGA Tour has the leverage that maybe they hope that they do. I think, one, to the degree they want/need the money and investment, they have some now, no doubt, that's there, but they don't have all the top players. They don't. If they want to get that back to what you're saying, Tony, which I totally agree, I feel like the PGA Tour maybe isn't in the strongest bargaining position, because legacy and tradition and history, those platitudes clearly only got you so far, and so it would be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah, we're supposed to be done with it too, and here we go. It's going to drag on and drag on and drag on, and probably until both Jay Monahan and Greg Norman are gone. Maybe that's what it's going to take, is a kind of a full refresh on, or reset on both sides of it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. PXG Ball Lab came out this Extreme. We tested the ball last year. Give me the quick rundown. How did it do, and should anybody be interested in this ball?
Solidly on the low end of average range. You know, I classify it as average. We don't really distinguish between high and low. If you're in the range, that's what you are. So solidly average. It's interesting. I think this one's interesting for a couple reasons. One, the balls that we flagged as bad, and there were only 3. But the ones which is, again, solidly average. It's right around what we typically find. So while 3 sounds bad, it's average, right?
Yeah.
But the reason they were flagged bad in every case was inconsistent compression within the golf balls themselves. So we measure 3 points on a ball, and so imagine like, hey, it's 100 in this point on this point, and it's only 93 in this one. And there are some reasons why that can happen. It can be tied to diameter. It can be something in the layer concentricity. It's hard to pinpoint sometimes exactly why. It's not something we see a lot.
We don't see that. I mean, we'll see variation in ball compression throughout a sample. Like, hey, this ball was 98 compression. Another ball was 92. This one was 95. This one was 87. But to take one ball and say, okay, depending on where we measure it,
it's a weird one. It's a weird one, and obviously it should go out without saying, but when we see that, we do retest, and in this case, we retested this particular sample 3 times above and beyond, and, you know, I will say, and this is actually the second batch we bought, to PXG's credit, and, it's easy to ding people or brands when things don't go right out of the gate.
Sure.
It happens a lot in the golf industry, where the first run of a product is not perfect. It's not what, when you're buying from a factory or working with a factory as PXG is, it's not what you were told you were getting.
Yeah.
And in some cases, as we've seen, there's some history there where you just kind of go, hopefully nobody notices and we don't get caught and it's fine.
Right.
PXG's case,
start falling off.
PXG does some testing internally. They've got some cool tooling in addition to the robot testing they do. They do some pretty interesting and unique stuff. And they identified the problem pretty early, and so they addressed it with the factory. And so they came to us and said, hey, these first batches, we know about this. So we're like, cool, let's wait. And so we can test what people will actually be getting moving forward. And that's what we did. Again, like pretty much average across the board, except for that compression thing, which again, anomalous, hard to say exactly what it was. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm not super concerned about. It's nothing I would point to and go, do not play this ball because of this.
Right.
We know a little bit about this ball. Right? We know comes from the same factory as the Kirkland, has the same aerodynamic package as the Kirkland, so you're going to see similar flight traits. But it's also a faster ball, higher compression. So it's going to feel a little firmer, but it's going to be faster. It doesn't spin quite as much, which is,
though it is slightly
in my
higher
estimate, it's definitely a higher spinning ball, but it's not way up there like the Kirkland. Like I said, it's not way beneath it, but it's not quite as spinny. And just again from those conversations with PXG, it's pretty clear to me that they, and again we see it in the testing, knowing what we've seen from multiple generations of Kirkland. My feeling is they have a higher quality standard, a higher quality expectation coming from that factory, and so if it's one or the other, and it's for most people it's not going to be. You have guys that love the Kirkland brand, guys who love the PXG brand, but just based on the price point, Kirkland at just under $20 a dozen, and PXG at $40.
I was going to say, at this price point,
they're not head-to-head competitors.
No, they're not head-to-head competitors at this price point. Given what the testing results show, are you buying this ball at that price point? Is this a go or a no-go for you at that price?
I mean, it's just a clear case of like it's average, right? So guess what? We talk about this all the time. Most things are average. So do I think you could do a little bit better at the price point? Again, I'll go to MaxFly, which right now is the same price point. Actually, they go on sale, bulk pricing, a lot of ways to get them for less. But that's an example that I would give as what I would classify as a higher quality ball at a similar price point. However, and this seems to get lost in all this conversation, right? Like a max fly ball, the performance is fundamentally different than the PXG. It is a different performance spec. And so if you want a fast ball but with more spin, then yeah, you would maybe look at the PXG, because again, it's not the best quality ball in our database, but it's within the average range. So that's
So if you're looking for a ball that, like I said, good ball speed, a little firmer, on the higher spinning, higher launching side, if that is you, and they're
definitely higher spinning launch. I don't know.
What's that?
Definitely higher spinning. I don't know about the launch. I think it's probably mid-high.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
actually, I think it actually the knock on the dimple pattern here is that it tends to launch low and fly high. So
it does kind of one of these things. Yeah.
But
yeah.
But again, anyway. We saw it in the robot testing. It's as much as we were messing with our test engineer while we were there when the PXG balls were in the air. I mean, it's by no means a short ball. Like if you're looking for distance, it's going to hold its own for sure. So
yeah, like I said, average and above average in some areas, slightly below average in some others. Driver test came out. Just quick recap for people. Driver test is out. You can check that stuff out. We're working on disaggregating information by swing speed. We're going to chop up the results and present it to you in different formats. And then the next test coming out is mallet and blade putters.
Yeah, blade putters will be next, I think. I'm just crunching the numbers there, trying to get that hammered out. And so once I'm done with my end of things, Philip will crank that out pretty quickly, and it won't be long before we roll right into mallets. And then, as you said, at some point in the near future, we will this year bring back the swing speed.
Bring it back, baby. Bring it back.
So
I love it. So yeah, from here on, the end of testing season, we're going to have updated stuff rolling out all the time, and
that's, I mean, we didn't even tell, right? We just published stand bags at the end of last week, and Connor and the soft goods team, I mean, those will keep us busy. Everything from cart bags to golf shoes, push carts, range finders, rain gear, ball retrievers.
It's all out there. Yeah.
If golfers buy it, we test it, really. So
yeah, I'll give you the quick rundown. If you need a new stand bag, get a ping. If you need a new stand bag and you're really big on value, hit up Dick's Sporting Goods and look at the Max Fly Honors. If you're all about the luxury type component, it's Ghost Golf and maybe Vessel in there too, and there's your results.
Nobody's making fine mahogany stand bags, but leather's
made
not bad.
Of rich mahogany.
Rich mahogany.
Well, as per usual, if you have questions, let us know. Please comment below and let us help you get more information. But until next time, we out.